Well, hey everybody, it's Tom Bullington with Coldwell Banker Realty, and today we're going to do a little video about for sale by owner. And for sale by owner is one of those things that sounds a heck of a lot easier than it actually is, where people will go out and say, I'm going to sell my house, but I don't need a realtor. I'm not going to pay realtor fees. Realtors get paid too much. I am just going to sell this house by myself. The problem with that, it sounds good in theory, right? Put it on Zillow, put a price on it, put a price that you think it's worth, and set it out there. So let's just play this out, that if you sell it by owner, who's responsible for the marketing? Who's responsible for the, getting it out there so people know it's for sale, first of all? Putting signs up in the yard, putting signs up around the neighborhood, that's you. When it comes to show it, well, you're going to be answering a lot of phone calls. First of all, you're going to be answering a lot of phone calls from realtors who are going to ask you to list it with them. So be prepared for at least 50 to 100 phone calls from realtors asking if you will list with them. You will be very annoyed. On the occasion that you will get a phone call from someone who actually wants to look at your house or is thinking about buying your house, you're going to have to arrange a showing time with those people. And hope that they show up, right? So they may or may not show up. That's one of the issues with showings for sale by owner, because they don't really feel like there's any skin in the game. They don't feel like if they don't show up, no big deal, right? They're not associated with a realtor. They are not going to hurt anybody's feelings except yours, and they really don't care about you because you're just selling the house, and that they may or may not be really interested in. So there's not a whole lot of feeling of, I'd better not do that. I'd say hopefully most people would feel bad, but there's a good proportion of people that would not really care. So you got that. When you are showing a house, you want to make sure you're there. So when you're selling a house by yourself, you want to make sure you're there in the house. That this is not just someone coming to rob you, or you're not going to open the front door and just let people look through your house sight unseen, right? Without actually being there. So that's another thing. You're going to have to be there. You're going to have to keep your house clean. There's a lot of elements to this that are a lot of work for the actual owner who is selling it. Dealing with a realtor, though, when you're having a realtor help you out, he or she is going to advertise your house for you. He or she is going to market your home. It's going to be on the MLS, where all the realtors are going to see it, right? It is going to get so many more showings because it's on the MLS. The big thing with that too is that because it's on the MLS, there's a lot more regulation as far as who can actually come show the house. It's probably going to be 99% of the time, it's going to be someone who's represented by a realtor. So you're going to have the assurance that someone is licensed, bonded, insured, showing your home. They're not coming into your home to rob you. And they're also supervised. When you're working with a realtor, it's so much simpler for you as a seller trying to sell a home. First of all, you're not going to have to worry about who is coming into your home. They're they're with a licensed realtor every time. So you don't have to worry about that. This is someone who has been cleared through the realtor. It's someone who has hopefully been pre-approved for a loan. And they are looking at the home because they're actually interested. It checks a lot of their boxes. It meets their criteria for bedrooms, bathrooms, things like that. This is not someone looking for a deal, which usually is what people who are looking to buy from a FSBO or for sale by owner. Most people who are looking from a FSBO are looking for some sort of deal. They're looking for a bargain. They're trying to take advantage of the seller. And first of all, too, that's another thing, is that the seller does not really know, unless they've had the home appraised, they don't really know exactly what the pricing is, if the pricing is accurate or not. If the pricing is accurate, great. But if it's not, the person who's buying the house, they're going to have it appraised by their lender, unless they're paying cash. That's going to mean that the home has to be approximately worth what the sales price is that the seller has set. So there's some variance there. There's some variety there as far as possibility of it not pricing correctly. So it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. If you are selling, you want to make sure. What I would do if I were selling by myself is I would have it appraised through a professional appraiser. Appraisals are about $350, $400, depending on the size of your home. They look at bedrooms, bathrooms. They look at comparable sales in the area, all those sorts of things. About $350. I use an appraiser here locally, and that's what he charges. So that's what I would do if I were selling by myself. But Tom, I don't want to pay realtor fees. Okay. Well, you might get lucky. I'll just say, you might get lucky. You might get what you want from the house. It might appraise through a professional appraiser or through a lender. It might appraise for that. You might actually end up with more money in your pocket. However, when you have someone professional who is advocating for you, right? Who is advocating for you, that means if there's a negotiation, the negotiation is going to be held professionally. So if it's with the buyer's represented, you're represented, you're going to have a professional negotiation. And if there's multiple offers coming in, you're going to be able to be represented by someone who knows how to negotiate price, who knows how to run comps on homes in the area, who has been down this road before, who works with a professional brokerage, who understands how the process works, who can connect with a lender from the buyer's side of things, making sure that they are legit, making sure that they are good for the money. A lot of things like that. Realtors will make those calls for you. They will spend that time for you. They will make sure that the deal is going to happen. And also have the paperwork, too. Never mind all the negotiations and the pricing and all of that. They will do the paperwork for you. They will have the official documents that you need, the legal documents that you need to make sure that this is not going to come back to bite you in the future as a seller. As far as disclosure statements, avoiding lawsuits. You want to avoid lawsuits at all costs. So you want to make sure you have an ironclad disclosure statement saying that you're being held harmless for anything that might go wrong with the house. Realtors also, a good realtor would give you some options for home warranties, which is another thing. If your home has any defects to it or possible defects, a 1-year home warranty will cover the buyer for all of that. there's a lot of factors here that people don't think about when they are looking at a for sale by owner. The final element of this too is working with a title company, and the ability and the experience of working with a title company. I use DCA, the title team here in Hastings area, but you might work with a Edina Realty has its own title company. Coldwell actually does have a title company called Burnett Title. There's a number of title companies out there who will handle the official paperwork, make sure the title is clean, that there's no encumbrances on the title, that no one else out there thinks that they own this property, that if it's in probate, all of these types of topics, that the title company will make sure it's all clear and that the transaction is actually legally binding. So there's a lot of things that go into selling a house, not just putting a sign in the yard and hoping that someone comes and looks at it. So I can help you with, and what I've done with for sale by owners, and I've talked with some for sale by owner people, it can be done. It can be done successfully, but it's in the far minority of cases that something doesn't go wrong, right? That everything is cool, there's no issues with the title, there's no issues with the transaction down the road. There's always, seems like there's always a glitch, and I tell my clients this, always seems like there's a glitch with every transaction. And this is no matter who you are, no matter what agent you're using, no matter what the situation is, there's always a question that comes up. There's always a, oh, we never thought of that. Or, oops, this came up or that came up. There's always a question, kind of a glitch. So, for my money, what I would do is obviously work with a realtor. And the Dakota County Sheriff is out here today, which is good to see. But there's always seems to be some sort of a glitch. So working with a realtor who is experienced and knows that, there might be a glitch, there might be something come up. 90% of the time there is. That way you can call him or her, your agent, and say, listen, I need help with this. Whether it's something with the title or it's something with the inspection. That's another thing too. Is your buyer going to have an inspection? If your buyer is not going to have an inspection done, well, that's interesting, because what if something comes up in the future? Are you held harmless, or do you have the paperwork that a realtor will help you with to make sure that you're not screwed down the road? All sorts of things to consider. I'm not saying don't sell a house by yourself, but statistically you're going to make more money using a realtor. You're going to have an easier time of things using a realtor if something comes up, which it usually does 9 out of 10 times. And just making sure that you have the paperwork in place and you have the peace of mind, right? You have the peace of mind that the deal has been done legally, it's binding, that someone's not going to come back in a year and try to sue you for something. Oh, the furnace stopped working. Are you responsible for that? Do you have the paperwork to show that you're not responsible for that? Or is it just kind of a handshake agreement? Not saying that there are buyers out there who might be a little bit dishonest, but there's buyers out there who might be dishonest. So you need to cover yourself as a seller. And, if you're looking at buying something else down the road and you're doing it for sale by owner, you could jeopardize not only the sale of your home currently, but the sale and the purchase of a home that you're looking at purchasing down the road. So, I don't know. I just, my advice, and I would say this if I were not a realtor as well, is that you really need to use a realtor at the end of the day. Anyway, again, if you have questions about this, just want to talk about for sale by owner, if you thought about it as an option, I'm here to discourage that. But even if you are going to do it for sale by owner, I can help you with facilitating the deal, making sure you have the right paperwork, and making sure no one's going to come back to you in a few months, years, and sue you for something that you had no idea was wrong with the house, or you had no idea that the guy that was buying your house was going to come back and sue you. I can help you facilitate for a small fee. Usually I charge about $1,000 to make sure you have the paperwork all done, to kind of work with the title company, to take all of those things off your plate while you are trying to find a buyer. So think about that. 651-402-6356, on the web at tombullingtonhomes.com.